Today, for the informative speech, I'm going to be talking to you all about beat construction, and specifically going through some of the key components of what I'm going to be talking about with my students at our programming events, whether it be at the new program events at Paseo High School or any of the following accounts that may come along. So first, I want to start off with how we kind of made the melody and really built the foundation of the song itself. I first started out by using different sort of plucks that sound hollow, have a lot of essence to it, so that I can then transition the sound into something different that adds a lot of texture to it. So first off, we have those key sounds that are kind of sharp, kind of blasting out there, and I wanted to make it a little bit more texturized than just that specifically. So then I changed it, and I took the piece of that and then changed it into an audio file to reverse its sound to get this effect. So now that we've gotten the reversed sound from that key progression, we actually used those same notes and ended up kind of changing the whole makeup of what the melody is going to sound like. We reversed it, and so then I went in and decided to start adding components to it. So then we see the verse begins to happen, and with this, all I did was add a small piano line. And then alongside that, I added the low end, the sub, it's called the 808, and it goes something like this. So this is the intro into the verse. Give it a little bit of space. Whoever's going to be recording on songs, a lot of times it's nice to give them a little bit of runway room to start really opening up what they're about to get into with their lyrics or what other progression they might have. So then we start adding other components to the verse to make it a little bit more punchy right when it's supposed to hit. So we add that other key structure within the higher octave, gives it a little bit more blend. Then we add another key. So right now our background effects are giving this sound. So with the 808, the piano, and the reverse. Then it was time to get into the nitty-gritty of the drumming. So in order to get anything done here, we really have to start out with a good foundation on our melody. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to that in the beginning. So then I went in and added our kicks. So this is going to be the kick drum of any drum kit. It's basically just that thumping noise that gives that 808 some sort of punch to it. This really guides a lot of the rhythm alongside the snare, so I added the kicks in initially, then added the snare. So the snare is hitting right now on the second. This is in double time, so it spreads out the rhythm of the beat a little bit different than regular patterns would be. So then on top of that, we added, these are the hi-hats. So this is going to be a lot of closed hi-hat action. Right now, a lot of the effects going on here are just minimal rotor effects. So what that means is that a lot of these drums are actually spinning around in the stereo mix. So while this is all going on, we have, it's shifting from side to side, giving us a kind of distorted sound, and then we added another layer of the hi-hats that gives it more pressure to the mix. It's a little bit higher registered, and then we have another one as well, which this one gives it a bubbly sound because it's on the lower end, so it gives these hi-hats a lot of texture to stand out amongst the melody of the song. So really what needs to be seen is that there's a lot of different components that goes into the actual making of different beats, and a lot of it has to do with really your makeup at the very, very beginning. Whether you're starting out with something as simple as a piano loop, or something as complex as, lots of audio from acapellas, or any sort of strange instrument that has a lot of transients. Really getting that good foundation is really important, because you can always start really, really basic. And as long as you're not getting too complicated, you can always pull it back and continue to kind of modify and change your beat as you wish. And with that being said, it's very, very difficult sometimes to do that when you get lost in the process. So having this template, or not necessarily a template, but more so a structure to how you work and side of your work ethic, is super important, because you can either start with a melody, something like this, which gives it rhythm, hitting on every note, right, 2, 3, 4. That small rhythm gives a lot of bass for the drumming. Or we could have started out with the drumming itself. So instead of doing anything like that, we could have started out with this and then added on top of that a melody. But for me, the best thing to do is really get that melody in place to really, really firm up your foundation for your beat, and to add the drumming as a complementary texture to the actual song itself, and to really bring it into a close. And that will conclude my informative speech on beat construction. Thank you so much for viewing.